If I call you a coconut, is it a crime? No, of course not. Can you believe that I actually got an email to my inbox from the police of all people asking me whether Maria Hussein walking around with a placard with Rishi Sunak and Cruella Braverman on it as coconuts was a criminal offence. Actually emailed me, we're looking for an expert to say this is a criminal offence, and I emailed back saying, you lost your damn minds. And then what did they do? They still charged her. She's gonna be in court on the charge of calling a coconut a coconut. I mean, we've lost our mind in the UK when it comes to this. This is not the first time. There is a soon-to-be MP probably, although the Tories are doing so badly, who knows, Ben Obese-Jecty, I'm saying this correctly, let me say it again, Ben Obese-Jecty, who has been taking multiple people to court for calling out his coonish behaviour. The first time I came across this, when I was asked to be an expert witness, because a black woman had just put on Twitter, asked, does it bother you that people think you're a coon or something like this? Because he was cooning on Twitter. And she actually got charged and has a criminal record because of this. You may have heard of the emoji charge. A young man pulled up for sending the same man Daffy Duck emojis because he was cooning. And this is actually criminalising our thought, criminalising black political thought. All of these terms, Coon, Negro, Uncle Tom, whatever you want to think, come from black intellectual thought. And the fact that police and have been doing this just shows you just how little regard they have for us. You would think that the police would know better and have better things to do than be running down black people for calling out other black people's nonsense. Right? But no. Black and brown people talking to the police, that's what the police do. If you need any more evidence that the system is against you, it's this nonsense. Anyway, so because of this, I've been thinking about doing this for a bit. So with the trial coming up, and actually with Make It Plain starting next, we're going to do the podcast next week. But this is a kind of side off bit for this. I wanted to make it plain that terms like coconut, house Negro, Uncle Tom, coon, they are not racial slurs. I've written this all in a book, The Psychosis of Whiteness, which is somewhere behind me. Anyway, but I want to make it absolute plain. And if I'm wrong, and by the end of this video, somebody want to call me out, take me to lock me up, you go ahead and do that. Please try and do that. We have to defend our political thought. Enough is enough. So, coconut's the one. We're going to start with coconut. That's what Scott Murray is saying in trouble. Walking around with a placard, police literally had nothing but to do their time. And first thing to say is this. You heard of Frantz Fanon, black skin, white masks? That's a classic. That is a classic text. Used in universities, taught on post-colonial studies. Black skin, white mask basically is coconuts. Like the whole book is about coconuts, right? What's the point of a coconut? It says, look, you're black or brown on the outside, but you're white on the inside. This is a political critique. This comes from thinkers like Fanon, who said that in order for us to be successful, in order for us to fit in, we have to mimic whiteness. We have to bleach ourselves down to the soul. I mean, Fanon even goes as far to say that before the Negro movement, which is a black movement in France, the West Indian was a white man because we have to do it, right? Not because we want to do it, not because we choose to do it, but to fit into these circles, to have the success that we want to do, we actually have to ape and become white, and that changes us, and that creates this problematic system within us, right? Brown on the outside, black on the outside, brown on the outside, white on the inside. That there's something that's happened to us. You may have heard other terms, Banty bar, coconut, chalk ice. Chalk ice is an old school one. Oreo in America. And it's the same kind of thing. And usually this turns up in cultural things, right? So I am a recovering Banty bar. If you've read Psychosis of Whiteness, I went through a phase when I was 11 to 14, 11 to 15, like when I was younger in secondary school, where I rejected blackness, where the school was so racist. It was black kids do badly, white kids do good. I'm thinking about black. I gotta be white then, right? I gotta have white friends, white music, white everything. I was bleached to the soul. Every little thing I listened to was white. At one point, I hated my hair so much. I just was like, I want straight hair. I can't deal with this. Da, 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 da. I went into a record shop, and you remember for the old school. I bought that whole album. That was gone. And look, that I really want to stress here that you can listen to whatever music you want. It's not about that. But what it is about saying, if you reject yourself, and just fully accept and appreciate and dive into whiteness, there's something wrong. So when my black colleagues at school were calling me bounty bar, I'm thinking that's hate, right? But that's not hate, that's love. They're saying to me, oh, there's something wrong. Like, and I'm reflecting back. Numerous conversations. People were like, what's wrong? Like, are you okay? Like, there was a deep love in there that they were worried. Because that crisis, and I was in crisis, that's not a good place to be, right? So we often think of these things, calling this out as a problem, but it's actually love teaching. Now, I'm going to quote Malcolm a lot in this. It's not hate teaching, this is love teaching. We love you when we're saying, look, there's a problem. If everything you do is white, that's a problem. There is something going on, right? You can like what you want, have your friends what you want, blah, 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 blah. But if that's coming at rejecting yourself, then that's when it's a problem. And that's when it's a coconut, that's when it's a bounty bar. That's when it's going to get called out. And I said, usually this is on we often hear this in playground school, cultural stuff. But in this case, with the Rishi Rich Sunak and Cruella Braverman, it's on the political level. And what we're saying there is actually, yeah, you may be brown, you may be black, this conservative government, worst, most racist government in history, but full of black and brown coconuts, right? Because, and this is important because they're pushing policy that is not indistinguishable from white racists, right? When Kemi Badenoch ran for ran for Prime Minister, leader of the Conservatives, the fascist Britain First was supporting it because they couldn't tell. They were like, well, you've got the racist policies, you know. Rishi and Cruella are supporting sending people to bloody Rwanda, like just deeply racist policies. So their policies are white. The things they're doing are white. What's the name? Priti Patel wanting to deport Nam is white. That's white policy. So we can't tell the difference between you politically to the white people, right? That's what's being said. That's a political critique that we have to be able to have. That's not a racial slur. That's not racial. That's not a racial slur at all. The only context that coconut comes up in is this. Black skin, white mass is in this critical critique. Is in that we can't distinguish you from the white people. And this is a problem. And really why this is important. You can't have on the one hand say that we should be happy for representation. We should be happy that we have black and brown people in politics and in the government. And then on the other hand, turn around and say, well, actually, what we're saying, we say coconut, is they don't represent us. That doesn't mean nothing to us because they are indistinguishable from white people, from white politicians, from the racist politicians. In fact, in your post-racial world, you should love that. We can't tell the difference between you anyway. So what are you complaining about? This should be something you're happy about, right? We can't tell the difference. When I'm in the barbers, and I was in the barbers and I'm listening to, we've got the TV on. TV's behind, it's a speech. I think it's Boris Johnson because of how he's talking, because of what he's saying. Turn around, Kwasi Kwarteng. Couldn't tell the difference. Like, in your post-racial thing, you may think that's a good thing. I'm saying that's a bad thing. I can't tell the difference. You can't tell me that Kwasi is good representation. So all we're saying with coconut, yeah, call them all coconuts. Rishi, coconut. Cruella Braverman, coconut. Priti Patel, coconut. Kemi Badenoch, coconut. Kwasi Kwarteng, coconut. All of them. Because we cannot tell the difference between them and the white racist politicians. And that is a political critique that we have the right to have. You might not like it, that might be a bit too sharp for you, that might be a bit too plain, but it's political critique that comes from our movements and our struggle. And no one should be able to criminalize that when it comes out. Also, I would stress that, what was she protesting? Maria Hussein, she was protesting Palestine, Gaza, thousands of kids, tens of thousands of kids, women, people killed in what is essentially a genocide in Palestine, supported by brown faces of the Conservative Party. Like, this is a perfectly political critique. If you can't do political critique no more, then we have lost everything. Coconut's not complicated. Coconut is simply that. It is simply a political critique. It simply comes out of our thing. It is not a slur. As I told the police at the time, there is no way on earth that this should have come into the court. No way. Now, related to coconut, and actually a term I probably prefer in some ways, is house Negro, right? House Negro, you would have heard this, Malcolm X over here popularized the idea of the house Negro. Those people who are, because of their relative privilege, relative connection to the master, tend to start to be deluded into believing they're not slaves, right? So on the plantation, you have the people who live in the house, they get slightly better food, they get slightly better clothes, they get slightly better conditions, they're not catching hell in the field from sun up to sundown, right? And so because of that, house Negro starts to identify with the master. Malcolm says, house Negro identifies with the master more than the master identifies with himself. The house Negro, the master gets sick. The house Negro goes, "What's the matter, boss? We sick. We sick." And the point of this is, and it's really important, the point of this is to say that house Negro is wrong. Because they're treated slightly better, they're missing the point. They're still slaves. Again, this is love teaching from Malcolm. He's calling out saying, you are still a slave. You are still suffering from racism. Just because you got it slightly better than your brother or sister, or your sibling, that don't mean that you're not experiencing it. So really, the whole point of it is to say we're all in the same boat. We're all catching the same hell. But you can't see that because you got the house Negro mentality. So now importantly, in my position, I'm a professor. I get paid more than most people in the world. Like really, really, really. I don't even get paid that much. It tells you a lot about the world. And it'd be very easy for me to get carried away and go into these circles and go, look, I've made it. You can do this too. Da, 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 da. Britain's great. That would be easy for me in my position because that's what happens to a lot of us. We get confused. We think that. We drape ourselves in the flag, right? But we have to fight against that and understand it's about the field. It's about the people catching hell. It's about that struggle. That's what we have to think about. And when we do that, we say, well, actually, Britain ain't going to help us. Government ain't going to help us. We've got to help ourselves. So that's a whole, so when we say someone's a house Negro, this is what we're saying, house Negro mentality. When I'm on TV with someone like Calvin, my friend Calvin Robinson, they show his bedroom and he's got British flag everywhere, Union Jack bed sheets, Queen, picture of the Queen in his bedroom, identifies with the master more than the master identifies with himself. That's house Negro, right? When you see these politicians up there, you equally say coconut, equally say Kemi Badenoch's giving the speeches, the curriculum does not need to be decolonized. People like Tony Sewell saying racism is no longer exists, etc., etc. It's not institutional racism. That's house Negro nonsense. That is house Negro nonsense. And again, we should be able to call that out. Best example of the house Negro, our friend Barack Obama. In the house, really in the house, really, really, really in the White House House Negro, as I like to call him. So that's important. Really importantly why I like house Negro. House Negro often, rather than coconut, is house Negro gets beyond the cultural. So we often think of the house Negro as these all the examples I gave you, those middle class examples. But there's plenty of other house Negroes who aren't in the middle class. Someone like, I always give the rapper's my favorite example. Hip hop, gangster rap. Gangster rap is actually some of the house Negro nonsense, right? Now I'm in the house, I'm gonna put this out there, I'm gonna put all this nigga, I'm gonna embrace a stereotype, get rich off doing that, and then say, America's the greatest country in the world. Perfect example, Lil Wayne. Little house Negro Wayne, who writes songs. I'm listening to the other radio the other day. Rodney King, Beat It Like a Cop. Beat It Like a Cop, Rodney King. And you dancing to this, you lost your damn mind. Whip it like a slave. No, you lost your mind. Get rid of that. I don't know what to tell you, but that's that people who they made their money, they love it, they embrace it, but they don't need to do the struggle and all that. House Negro nonsense. There are many out there. We need to call it out. Again, this comes from our struggle. First time I heard house Negro articulated is Malcolm X. That's political critique. We have the right to say it. We need to say it. It pushes the debate and it takes us forward. There should be protected speech. It is not hate speech. I'm going to come to Coon now. Coon's the one that's got my man Ben, the new, likely to be the MP, Ben Obese-Jecty, really don't like being called a coon. Right? Now, I want to stress something here. Coon is more of a verb than it is a noun. So you are a house Negro, you are a coconut. Cooning is something you do, right? Coon is also slightly different to this in the sense that coon is a racial slur, right? Coon, that's where it comes from. House Negro does not come from racial slur. Coconut does not come from racial slur. They totally come from us. Coon is a racial slur when used by white people. Coon, you lazy coon, is essentially that's a slur, right? There's something wrong with you. Now, when we say slur, racial slur is when you put down a whole group of people because of their race. That's a slur. So when a white person calls someone a coon, they're saying all black people are lazy coons, and you are a lazy coon, right? That's what they're saying. Same with N-word, nigga. You lazy nigga, same thing, right? All of you, irrespectively, because you're black, that's what it is. What we've done with these terms, nigga is a perfect example, which actually is a slur when used by white people, is not a slur when used by us. We can use it, well, it can be, but we use it in many, many different ways, right? So we should have an example. The N-word, it can be different, right? Coon's the same way. Coon for white people, when it's used, is a slur, definitely. What we have done is say, well, actually, what is a coon? Coon comes from coon show as well. And the coon shows, that's blackface. People would dance around. Oftentimes that was white people putting on blackface, big red lips, the gollywog stuff. Cooning up, playing up these racial stereotypes, and all the white people would laugh at it and it'd be a big show. These are massive. This is massive in the UK. That's where Lady Henry got his first break, in it? At the black and white minstrel shows, which ran for years on the BBC. Right? So those coon shows are popular, right? That's what coon. So when we use coon, what we have done is we've taken that and said, well, look, what the modern day coon show is when the modern day coon show is when black people are performing and dancing, because in the coon shows there were people who black up. Black people would also black up too and perform a stereotype. And so what we're saying now when we use coon is that stereotype, that performance, that dance, tap dance for white people to make the white audiences happy. That's what cooning is. That's why people are sending tap dancing Daffy Duck emojis to Ben Obese-Jecty. Because they're saying, look, you're doing this. When you go on TV and you say, oh, racism doesn't exist, that's cooning. That's what it is. You cooning up the place, right? And so that's what people say. It's a verb. I said it's a verb. So I would not necessarily call you a coon. I would just say you are cooning, right? Coconuts often tend to coon. House Negroes often tend to coon, right? Like I said, Lil Wayne, perfect example. All that beat like a cop, that's cooning. That is a coon show. When you go on the radio and on TV saying "Be like a cop, Rodney King," but that's a coon show. You are cooning, my friend, right? When you come on TV talking that racism doesn't exist and you're getting all the audiences, they're loving it. That's cooning, my friend. And there's many examples of the coon show. Ben Obese-Jecty is one of those people who went on TV, who went on the media, who's been on social media putting up all this nonsense, this cooning behaviour to get the likes, right? To get the clicks, to get this a whole. I mean, in America, Candace Owens, perfect example of the coon show, right? Just say that stuff that white love to hear, and it gets you all right, it gets them all riled up. And for Mr. Ben Obese-Jecty, this has led to a career, right? That's where you get the MP. The white people love you. You get it. You do it for the applause, right? Same when Kemi Badenoch's going around, that's cooning. Saying this thing is cooning. So, and we have to be able to call it. Yes, Mr. Ben Obese-Jecty, you have been cooning. Yes, that's why people keep calling you coon and saying you coon stuff, because you've done it. And really importantly, that is not a slur, because a slur would say all black people. When we say that to you, that is not all black people. That is not because you're black either. That's because of your behaviour, because of what you have done. That is not a you are black, therefore you are this negative. This is you are black and look, we don't agree with how you behave. It's a critique. People can't take critique no more. Like, it's really odd. The right wing talk about snowflakes, but the snowflakes are them, right? We look, it might not be nice, it's definitely an insult, but a criminal offence? Come on, grow up. Like, literally grow up and respect our work. Respect the tradition and the intellectual tradition this comes from. This is why I get mad about this. This is why I'm a professor of black studies. The only one in Europe, by the way, because we don't respect our knowledge. And there's a long history of it, it's lots to do with it, you can disagree with it, that's fine, but it is not criminal behaviour. Cut the crap. Other one I wanted to get to, because I think this is important, is Uncle Tom. So Uncle Tom is often wildly misused. Uncle Tom, again, I use Malcolm on this one, said the slave master took a house Negro basically, dressed them up well, dressed them up nice, made them a spokesperson for Negroes. And this is the important part with Uncle Tom. Unlike the Coconut House Negro coon, those aren't for black audiences. That's not for us. You Coconut, you cooning up the place, that's not for us. We look at you and go, yeah, right? No, nobody's repping Calvin Robinson, don't repping Kemi Badenoch. Kemi, who apparently I've heard doesn't know why black people don't like her. Stop cooning. This would be one of the ways. Ben Obese-Jecty, Clarence Thomas, none of all these people, right? That's not for us. That's for white audiences. We know you're not for us. There's no doubt. No one's coming to your aid. Even I was joking before about Kemi Badenoch becoming the first black MP, and most of all the black people in the country be like, what the hell just happened? You know what I'm saying? That's not for us. Uncle Tom is for us. Those are the people who are for us. They're supposed to be spokespeople for us. So Malcolm said the biggest Uncle Tom at his time was Martin Luther King. Now Martin Luther King, not coconut, not house Negro, not going around cooning. No, I mean, you could make the argument that there were house Negro elements to King. I'm not going to go into this right now. It doesn't matter. But generally speaking, he was seen to be somebody who represented people. Black people looked up to him. Black people followed the man. Right? Now, what Malcolm's saying is, you're following the wrong way. You're following into oblivion. And that's what the Uncle Tom does. So the Uncle Tom has to have credibility with black people. Right? So none of the people I've mentioned can have any credibility with black people, so cannot be Uncle Toms. Right? So, you know, it's easy to call someone Uncle Tom, but Uncle Tom, I think we have to use that much more clearly than we do. Right? I'm trying to think of some Uncle Toms right now. So for example, and I give you an American example because it's the only one I can really think of right now. In the US, there's something called Foundational Black Americans. You know Tariq Nasheed. You may have heard of Tariq Nasheed. And in the I'm writing the Malcolm X books now. It's in the book, so a little bit of a preview for the book. But they got this Foundational Black Americans, the idea that, you know, only the people who descended from slavery in America are really Americans. You know, cut out the Caribbean and have this really national America. And people follow that nonsense. That ADOS, you also heard called ADOS, American Descendants of Slavery, which I've been told is different. They're basically the same idea. That nationalism, drape yourself in the American flag, we are special, that's Uncle Tom nonsense. That's Uncle Tom. That's Tommy. That's not cooning, because you're not playing up to white people. Black people are supporting that, and we're supporting this nonsense and going down the wrong road. That's Uncle Tom. Right? In the UK, I don't know if I can't think of a good example in the UK, certainly, but that would be that's the example. You know what I'm saying? You have wannabe Uncle Toms, right? Trevor Phillips, Trevor formerly of the Black Community Phillips, as I always call him, at one point head of the Commission for Racial Equality. That's a wannabe Uncle Tom, right? But we see through that. I think, to be honest, Ben Obese-Jecty probably is a wannabe Uncle Tom. People who might want to do it, but we see through. It's fake. That's not real. Real. What they say, real recognized real. We understand. So Uncle Tom we need to reserve. We should cut Uncle Tom out, put it somewhere else. House Negro, coconut, coon. Those are all very much related, and there's language that we need to explain what is happening. It's language that we need to push us forward. Like I said, I hope this is helpful. I hope this clarifies something, because it's really important we do that, and it's really important we defend black intellectual thought. And if that's a crime, lock me up. I swear that if that's a crime, come bring it now, lock me up, take me to jail, take me away. Because this is we at some point we have to say enough is enough. Enough is enough. This nonsense has to stop. We need to get some sense back into this and stop. We already criminalized black people enough, black and brown people enough. It's time to stop. And I hope this can help us to realize that. So that was a helpful explainer of why Uncle Tom, Coon, House Negro, and Coconut are words we should embrace, not words we should criminalize. As always, make it plain and know